All right, welcome back here to Channel 6 TV. This is Kenny Fogel. Glad you could be with us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk a bit about St. Michael's. And you may or may not know a lot about St. Michael's. And I've got Gilly Simpson here. And Gilly knows everything there is to know about St. Michael's. So, well, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, I know y'all are celebrating a special anniversary right now.
Yes,
what year is it that we're looking at?
Well, we are, on October 1st, we'll be celebrating 225 years. So it's the third oldest Catholic parish west of the Allegheny Mountains. So it's quite a story.
Well, tell us a little bit about how St. Michael's come about.
Okay. Founded primarily by people migrating over the mountains from Baltimore, the kind of where the early Catholics were. They settled in central Kentucky, Nelson, Marion, Washington counties, primarily known even today as the Kentucky Holy Lands. Our parish was founded in 1792, group of 40 to 50 families. A lot of our current parishioners can trace their ancestry back to that group, myself included. A lot of the things that we're known for are the people. I know there are different churches around that can point to a structure or something like that. You know, our current church was built in 1883, so it's fairly old, but our story is more of things like our native parishioners like Mother Catherine Spalding, founders of the Sisters of Charity, Mother Frances Gardner, who was another Mother Superior there. An interesting stat, the first 61 years that they were in existence, 50 of those years, their Mother Superior was a native of our parish. So there's quite a bit of history there. We just put up one of the Kentucky historical roadside markers on Sunday, had the dedication for that, and it's got a lot of the neat information on it.
Now, the original church, was our original structure there in 1792? Or?
No, 1792, there wasn't even a priest yet in Kentucky. So what happened is the Gardner family, who were very prominent there, they held prayer services in their home in a little chapel they had built there. As priests finally started to reach the state, they donated land where our cemetery now is, and the first little cedar structure was built there in 1806. In 1831, we moved to our current location, which is about a mile to the east, right in the town there, on land donated by the Henry McKenna family. Of course, the distillery at that time was right there at the bottom of the hill. That church was the first brick structure in 1831, and then a bigger, although by modern standards not that big, but bigger at that time in 1883.
Fairfield has a rich history over there. I've been the mayor of Fairfield on a few months ago, I think right before the homecoming, and every time she comes in or somebody comes in, I learn a little bit more about Fairfield. And a bustling, I guess at that time, a bustling metropolis. I mean, right today, you know, it looks like a little sleepy town between Bloomfield and High Grove, but it's at one time is a very busy little center area.
Yeah, and actually the history of shameless plug, I wrote a book about the parish, and in that, one of the chapters is a history of Fairfield. The two nearly go almost entirely hand in hand. As the parish grew, the town grew, and so the bourbon distillery were parishioners. There was a hotel there, believe it or not. There were parishioners, doctors, a bank. All of the things that you now think of in a Bardstown type place were present there, and the town was literally built almost entirely by the Catholic parishioners of the day.
And then the Civil War, obviously, there was a lot of stuff going on during the Civil War during that time. But Fairfield today, again, a little less active. I mean, but you still got a lot to celebrate in history, and I know you're a history buff and wants to commemorate that. Well, how are we going to do that? What does it go on?
Good question. The Archbishop Kurtz will be out on October 1st. We'll have Mass and then a big celebration after. We decided to do the historical marker on a different day, so we weren't trying to jam too many things into one day there. But anytime the Archbishop comes out, that's a big deal. And we're also kind of celebrating and looking forward to, we always get a lot of people who might have grown up there and moved away that come back. And it's always a good time to catch up. A lot of former priests. We had 3 priests at the ceremony this weekend for the marker. And it's always, I remember the 200th was a huge event with a lot of old-time parishioners coming back for that.
So what kind of activities are we looking at? I know somebody mentioned fried chicken. I mean,
Well, there will be food, and we do food well over there.
I know you do. I come to the homecoming every year.
Goodness. Oh my goodness! I can't wait for that part. I don't know the menu. It wouldn't surprise me if there was fried chicken.
Well, like I said, somebody said it, and that just stuck in my head.
Yeah, he was kind of making that up, but he's not too far off base. But another thing I wanted to mention was from the historical perspective, a lot of the things that you wouldn't expect out of a parish that small. We're only 200 families, but we do have the first priest ordained in the United States was he was our first pastor.
Really?
Yeah. So when we finally moved out of that little chapel, the priest finally got there. It was him. He was an exile from the French Revolution. Yeah. Came to Baltimore, learned a little English, and was sent to what must have been the middle of nowhere for him. And then a little later, another founding member was my ancestor. Her name was Grace Newton Simpson, a personal acquaintance of Bishop Carroll in Baltimore and a guy named George Washington. And that's documented. Yeah. Father Cruz from Bellarmine actually told me that when I was a student there. And then a little later, when Louisville became, Bishop Flagey saw that it was going to become the population center and eventually moved the diocese there. But the first Catholic church there was named St. Louis Church. It became a mission of St. Michael's, oddly enough, because in this area we were the northernmost parish, so our pastor would serve that parish in Louisville, and it eventually moved and changed its name, so that little mission of ours is now called the Cathedral of the Assumption. So we're quite proud of that.
Well, I grew up in a small Catholic church, and I know the closeness, and that's the thing about it. It's so much different. You go to a bigger church, not knocking bigger churches because they've got their role, but it's different. It really is, because the church is the community in many respects.
It is, and it's much that way there. Of course, at 7 o'clock tonight, we'll be there with the religious education with the kids and the confirmation class, and I'm teaching a class there, and the people who taught me are still there. They'll be fixing the food on Sunday and singing in the choir. So it's a generational thing. My kids are 10th generation in that parish. So the ties are deep and they're strong.
Okay, so does anybody like to come to the Mass? I'm sure you got room for
Absolutely. Them? It'll be tight, but we welcome anyone who would like to come. Most particularly those who have some kind of affiliation or tie there, but all are welcome.
Right. And this is on Kentucky 40?
It's on Highway 48.
48.
Yeah, between Bloomfield and High Grove.
Okay, because for some people, like I said, if you're new to the area, if you've been around a while, you've probably been to Fairfield many times, but again, between Bloomfield and High Grove, it's things have changed since the 31E redoing, so I'm going to have a hard time finding the roads.
Well, if you're coming through Cox's Creek, you can shoot right across 509 too. That lets you out right at the edge of Fairfield, so that's another route.
So Fairfield, Kentucky, one of the incorporated cities. Maybe maybe a trivia a lot of people may not know. It is one of the incorporated cities of Nelson County. There's only 4 cities in Nelson County, and Fairfield is one of them. So
1820.
1820. Yeah. So like I said, a lot of rich history going back from that, and they got a little museum there, as a matter of fact.
They do, and it's a nice little place too. It's in the old bank, and the amount of information and great pictures they have in there. I don't want to tout any one person more than others, but Mary Ellen Mark she was vital in that. And boy, you talk about a historian. Oh man, I could sit and talk to her all day. She's great.
She does. I got a cousin comes in once a year, and he visits all the different churches and visits the cemeteries and spends days doing this, and he's fascinated by it. Yeah. But and like I said, if somebody wants to know as a history buff, Fairfield is probably one of the best places they can.
Yeah, and she would be the person. I mean, man, oh man, she knows Fairfield inside and out, and has done a lot of good work for the town.
A lot of pride, a lot of pride.
Former mayor.
Well, Gilly, appreciate you being here today.
Yes, I appreciate
let us know what's going on. If there's anything we ever need to know what's going on over there, feel free to give us a call.
All right, sounds great.
Right, Gilly Simpson here. We're talking about St. Michael's Parish, so celebrating 225 years in existence, and that's quite an accomplishment here in this day and age. So congratulations and happy birthday.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Stick around, a lot more to come here on Channel 6 TV. We'll be right back.